Alright guys, today is the day that Squishy gets a tank upgrade. She will be going into this 29-gallon tank right here. So without further ado, let's get it set up. So first I'm going to add a light to the top of it. I have this light right here that I'm going to just kind of move over. Let's see if the cord is long enough. Well, let's see. I don't really want to unplug it. Uh-oh, well, I just unplugged it, so I'll also have to reset it later. So I got the light set up so that we can see what we're doing now. It is somewhat dark in this room because it is morning time. I cannot use this outlet right here because it does not work, which I knew beforehand, but just kind of forgot about. So I had to go grab an extension cord. I know this is kind of a mess of cords. These tanks right here are for sale. So hopefully they sell soon. When they do sell, I'm planning to just kind of move the 29-gallon over to like the middle of this. Now I'm going to be adding sand, and I'm using, because it's for my axolotl, I'm using very, very fine sand. It's actually called sugar sand. You want to use very fine sand for axolotls because they can become impacted and not be able to digest their food properly. I don't think I need scissors for these. There is, nope, I don't. I'll pour it all at the back and then pull it forward later. I do want it thicker in the back where I'll be adding some plants. And I'm not doing this tank, I'm not setting it up as a dirted tank because I'm afraid that the axolotl will dig in the sand and then unearth my aqua soil and then eat it and become impacted, because that just sounds like something she would do. So for her own safety, it's not going to be a dirted tank. However, I am going to be doing hardy plants, so they should still do well, even if they don't have any aqua soil or nutrition. I should have cut a bigger hole in here. Oh well. I was kind of wanting 2 inches of sand, and I was thinking I would need 40 pounds for a 29-gallon, because I think they say like 2 pounds, or no, what is it? 2 pounds of sand for every gallon of water or something like that. So you'd want, like, you know, if you have a 40-gallon tank, you'd want 80 pounds of sand. But I don't know, that's already, I don't know if I'll need all 4 bags actually. Each bag is 10 pounds. We'll see. I do want it to be a thick layer of sand because it acts as a filtration for the tank. And she produces a lot of waste. Beautiful. It's looking so natural. Something that I am curious about with this sand is I'm wondering how well it's going to absorb mold because it's so fine. I don't know. We'll find out. I do have it in another tank as well, and it's been great. However, it's like a betta fish. So, you know, betta fish don't produce half the waste that an axolotl does. So I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I'm going to add another bag. See how that looks. It's very thin up here in the front, which I kind of like. It's about 2 inches at the back. So. Alright, I think that should be enough. This tank, okay, this may be a reason why I'm not going to be overly fond of the height of this is because I'm short. And hopefully I don't have to get my arm in here much when there's water added, because that will be a little annoying. There we go. I think that looks good. Let me take this off and give you guys a better view of it. So it's pretty thick up at the back, and then it tapers off. But yeah, I think that looks nice. Now to add the hardscape, I'm actually going to be adding, well, you can't see it because I don't have these lights on, and I had to use the extension cord from over here, so I'm gonna have to move some cords around. I hope these tanks sell soon, but this piece of driftwood that you probably can't hardly see is going to be going into the axolotl tank. That looks beautiful. I'll have to pull off this duckweed. So I have some of these rocks. These are the rocks I bought yesterday for this specific axolotl tank. You want axolotls, you want all the rocks in their tank to be bigger than the axolotl's head so that they cannot swallow it. They're opportunistic eaters and they don't really know what's food and what's not food. So I got this rock and I was thinking I could like prop it up under a piece of driftwood, but I don't know. I really like how the driftwood looks right now without it laying down, so I don't know. I'm just going to mess around with the rocks a little, see what I like, what I don't like. I don't know, it's not bad. Maybe okay, that was kind of the vision I had for that large rock, was to put it up underneath this piece of driftwood. And I don't know, I think it actually does look kind of neat. It gives it more dimension versus just laying there. Now I have these little rocks, and I was thinking I could kind of maybe put some around here, another one over here or something to kind of tie it together. With axolotls, you cannot use accent pebbles, so and normally when I would have the large rock, medium rocks, and then accent pebbles tying that together. However, you can't do that in an axolotl tank, so we'll just have to settle for plants kind of merging the sand and the rocks together, if that makes sense. Kind of like this section. I might change this up a bit. I don't know. Leave that there and this here. I'm fairly new to aquascaping, so I'm still trying to decide, like, what do I like, what do I not like, right? I do want this to be fairly simple, with lots of plants. I do want a lot of plants. I know that's going to restrict her swimming more, however, it'll keep the water cleaner, and it will just look nicer too, so. And if she's really unhappy, I can always remove some of the plants, you know, but I don't know. I think I like all this. I'm trying to decide what to do with this rock right here. Oh, something I just remembered. I also have her cave, which I could stick that right there. I don't know. I forgot about her cave. I do want her to have a cave to hide. Axolotls, they can't like close their eyes. They don't have eyelids, so they kind of need a darker place they can go to if they don't want the light on their eyes. I think I might leave that there for now, and I'm going to grab the hide and see where that would look good at. Okay, I just pulled this out of her tank. I mean, the hide does look somewhat natural, but, you know, it's not all that natural. That looks odd. I might have to completely redo the placement of this. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Because this just looks... Maybe this piece of driftwood can kind of be going this way. It would add more depth to the tank versus just sitting on its side or straight on, you know, viewing it. Let's see how this looks. My hands are wet, so the sand is a little bit messy. Okay, I'm going to mess around with this for a bit and hop back on. So this is what I came up with for the hardscape. I would have preferred personally to just have this kind of in the center. However, there wasn't enough space to add the cave on either side. So I kind of moved it over there, added that. It looks a little rough still. However, well, you know what? I think I'm going to move this rock. That just looks kind of weird there. I'm going to move that. And then I'm going to begin adding plants. I think the plants will help pull it together. And I'm going to add some shorter, like maybe dwarf sage, kind of like around these rocks in the back still though. And then maybe like some pearlweed or something around the smaller pebbles just to kind of help pull it together. Okay, so I have the tank all planted now. I don't have it filled up with water yet. I ended up doing some crypts here around the rocks just to kind of, well, I don't have one right there actually. I thought I did, but I have some crypts there around the rocks to kind of blend them in. You know, it doesn't work as well as just adding accent pebbles, but that's not an option, so it's all right. There's Anubias, 2 different types of Anubias, and a sword plant, and lots of jungle val, and more Anubias. And then I have some like hornwort and rotala back here and some dwarf sage here in the back. Also, I absolutely love this huge Anubias. But guess how much I paid for it? I paid $70 for it. I don't even pay that much for a house plant. So, Squishy, I hope you realize how spoiled you are. Yeah. So now I'm going to fill it up with water, and then I will take Squishy's filter out and just add it right to this tank. So the tank should have a lot of beneficial bacteria in it right off the bat, because her filter cycled. Most of these plants came from tanks that are cycled. her cave is going to have beneficial bacteria on it, and this piece of wood is going to have a lot of beneficial bacteria on it as well. So we should be good. And then I'll add her, but it shouldn't be like, it will be a fission cycle, but the tank won't be that bad off, I don't think. I think there's enough beneficial bacteria in here that it should be good. I have the tank all filled up with water now. I added the filter. I added this peace lily that I had bought originally for my axolotl tank. It used to be over here. However, the tank is just too warm. It's sitting at about 70 degrees, and that is like 5 degrees hotter than my axolotl's tank that she is in right now. I typically keep her tank anywhere from 60 to 65 degrees. Now that it's getting warmer, it typically sits at 65. So I have the AC unit on. You can probably hear it. I just closed the door for audio, but I put this fan up here, so even if I leave this door cracked a little bit, this fan will pull in cold air and blow it directly on top of the tank. So hopefully that's able to cool it down more. With the tank being deeper, like, I don't know, I could see it going either way. Either the tank is going to be cooler because it is a larger body of water, or it's going to be harder to cool down because it's more water. I'm not sure. I really do not want to get a cooler for the tank for the summer because they're very expensive, and I've heard they break quickly. I don't know, but I had told you guys that I was going to buy a new fan, and this is not the new fan. The new fan came and it was broken, and it was also like way smaller than this fan. I mean, I know this fan is bigger. It's not designed for aquariums, right? But it was way smaller. There's no way it would have been as effective as that fan. And so I've been looking at aquarium fans that just hook on the back and then face directly down at the water. But a lot of them, well, all of them actually, looked like that they would only hook onto a rimless tank, not a tank with rims. So if you guys know of some good aquarium fans that work well with tanks with rims that aren't super cheesy, because the one I ordered obviously was, so I'm returning it. But this fan is doing the trick right now, and it can't fall because I have it propped up against the shelf. But yeah, this is the outcome. I'm loving it. It is very bright right now, mostly because of the sand. So I feel kind of bad for my axolotl because this tank is going to be so much brighter than the tank she's currently in. She will be able to go in this cave to kind of get away from it. Sorry about all the bubbles. I could have scraped them off, but I don't know. I just kind of let them disappear on their own. Another reason this tank is way brighter is because I have a much bigger light on it. This is the higher light, and I have set it on the 24/7 setting. So it is currently noon, so it is on the noon setting, and noon is like the brightest time of day, so that's why the tank looks so bright right now. But as the day wears on, it's going to get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And then at like 2200 o'clock, as you can see there, so way later this evening, it will be like very, very dim, and then it will just shut off at I think it shuts off around like 2300 o'clock, if I remember right. I don't remember. But yeah, I do think my axolotl has a little less swimming space because of all the stuff I've added to the tank, but she has more places she can explore. Like this tank, obviously I've taken a lot of it out. It looks horrible, I know, but trust me, there's nothing wrong with some mulm and some algae. It just helps keep the tank cycled. Wait, where'd she go? Oh, there she is. You can see I have a small light on here, and I had added plants that do well in low light, so it was fine, it worked. But over here, most of the plants in here are plants that do well in low light. However, I do have some, oh, what is that called? I do not remember what that plant is, but I have some dwarf sage, which some of that's coming uprooted. I should probably put my arm in there and fix that. I have some rotala, And I'm hoping she doesn't uproot this. I'm wondering if she's going to just go scurrying around all back here and like pull up all my plants. That would be frustrating if she did that. Hopefully that's not what she does. Hopefully she's gentle with them, but we'll see. So I think I'm going to wait a few hours and see if that tank will cool down any. And then I will add Squishy. Something that you do not want to forget to do, I almost forgot it, is to add water conditioner. Now, I follow an axolotl group on Facebook, and they were saying that you cannot use API water conditioner for axolotls because it has aloe vera in it, and they said that aloe vera is harmful to axolotls. So they said to instead use Seachem Prime for their tank because it does not have aloe vera in it. So I bought some of this yesterday specifically for my axolotl. I've just been using the API brand, but I'm sure they know what they're talking about. They've had axolotls for years, and I don't want to damage her skin at all. Axolotls have very sensitive skin. So I bought some of this Prime, and I'll be using this for my axolotl from here on out. So for any of those, for any of you that have axolotls and did not know that, I would recommend getting some Seachem Prime. I just added Squishy to the tank, and she immediately swam over to this corner and is now sulking. She's not sure what to think of her new space. I'm curious to see if she'll start exploring soon or not. She has this whole space to explore. Right now she's just kind of scared. She's not sure what to think. Hey, Squishy. It doesn't help that I had to take her out of her tank with my hands because I don't have a net large enough for her. And honestly, there's less chances of her getting hurt if I just pick her up with my hands because I can do it gently and she can't thrash around really and get her like her gills or her legs like stuck in a net, you know? So far, she's not wanting to explore. I'll watch for a while and start filming if she does decide to explore her new home. This little lone shrimp got into my axolotl tank via a plant that I put in here, and it's just one, and Squishy never ate this shrimp. So I'm thinking I'm going to add shrimp into my axolotl tank here pretty soon. Sorry about the glare. It's afternoon now, and so the sun is coming in through the window behind me. But I'm definitely adding shrimp here because she hasn't even ate one shrimp that's been in her tank for, I don't know, a week or more now. What color of shrimp should I add to this tank though? Like blue would look really good in there against the white sand. Red, obviously, you can never go wrong with red. Red would look great. I could add yellow, I could add orange. Obviously they need to be Neocaridina shrimp because I'm just not brave enough to try to raise Caridina shrimp. But what color do you think? Oh, I could also do black. Black would really pop in there, and Squishy's black, so they'd kind of match Squishy, you know? But I don't know, what color of shrimp should I put in here? She's decided to come out of her hiding place. She's not really exploring too much yet, but look at her. You can see her so much better underneath this higher light. So much nicer. Oh, there you go. She's going to explore now. I should have wiped all the bubbles off the tank so you guys could see her better. I'll have to film her in here once the bubbles are all dispersed. I just hope she doesn't go back there and tear up the plants. That would be sad. While Squishy is getting acclimated to her new home, I wanted to talk a bit about in-fish cycling. I am doing in-fish cycling with Squishy and her new home, and I wanted to add that there's a lot of beneficial bacteria in here. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I added her sponge filter that's back here behind the plant. I added that, and it was in her old tank that was cycled, so lots of beneficial bacteria on that, and on her hide, and on the driftwood, and on most of these plants. Most of these plants I just pulled out of my tanks. Like this one, this big one, it's new, but I added it to her old tank for about 24 hours before putting it in, so I don't know how much that helped, but you know, it didn't hurt anything. So that's what I'm doing. Also, you do not want to overfeed at all. In fact, if it's a smaller fish, I would just not feed it for like a week. However, I don't really want to not feed Squishy for a week. So I fed her a very large a night crawler worm this morning. And I typically feed her 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is Friday as I am filming this. And so I think what I'm going to do is skip the Monday feeding and then feed her on Wednesday. So she would go 5 days with no food. That's completely normal for axolotls to do in the wild. She'll be just fine. She may get a little hungry, but she'll be okay. So I'll go 5 days without feeding her. I'll feed her on Wednesday. And it would still be less than a week since I set up the tank. And after I feed her, maybe like the same day or the day after that, I will do a 20 to 50% water change, just kind of based on my fill of the tank. If I think it needs 20% or 50%, then I will do a water change on it. And then I'll probably not feed her again for another 4 to 5 days. Like I'll feed her more often than once a week for the next few weeks, but I won't be feeding her every few days like I was prior to that. It was like every 2 to 3 days, right? So I'll be going every 4 to 5 days for the next few weeks. And then after that, I'll put her back on her feeding schedule, and I'll continue to do water changes on the tank. And you know, maybe in a few months, if the plants are starting to get really established and her tank, the parameters are great and it's not smelling or anything, I might start doing less water changes, like maybe twice a month instead of once a week. But we'll see. That's a ways out in the future. That may not be the case. She produces a lot of waste, but I have a thick layer of sand in here, mostly banked up at the back, and that really helps filter. However, the sand is super fine, so I'm curious. I assume it will still work really good as a filter. I don't know. We shall see. And obviously I have this plant. It's always great to add house plants to the top of your aquariums for extra filtration. And I tried to add, you know, it doesn't look heavily planted, but once they fill in, it will look a lot like a jungle, and that will also help keep the filtration going strong. So I set it up in hopes that, you know, if I need to be gone for a week or two, I won't have to be doing water changes. I won't have to have someone do water changes on the tank. And the rest of my tanks that I set up will be no water changes. I won't be doing water changes on them. I don't do water changes hardly ever on the tanks I have, except for my axolotl tank, just because she's bigger, she produces more waste. I don't have her in a large enough aquarium with enough plants that I could just stop doing water changes. Squishy's starting to perk up. She's starting to respond to my finger again. She's already thinking that she's hungry again, which she's not. You guys seen the massive worm that she ate this morning. But she's perking up. She's interacting with me again. So that makes me super happy to see. I'm guessing this tank is going to be a little harder for her to, oh, it's focusing on the bubbles. I'm guessing it'll take a bit for her to adjust to this tank, because right now the temperature is a few degrees warmer than her previous tank. It'll probably take a day or two to fully cool off. I've got this fan going and have the AC trying to cool it off. But also it's way, way brighter. Like, I think probably part of the reason she went in hiding as soon as I added her is because it is so much brighter. And right now it is the afternoon, so with me having on the 24/7 setting, the light is at its brightest. It will start dimming. Well, it's actually not at its brightest. It's already dimmed a little bit since noon, but it's still pretty bright. But this evening, I'll come back and check on her and show you guys how dim the tank will be, and hopefully she can kind of relax with that. You know, I could turn the light off to let her adjust, but I don't want to do that because then I would have to reprogram the 24/7 setting. So I'm just going to leave it on that. I can show you guys the knob. So right now it's on the, Right now it's on the 1500, so 3 o'clock in the afternoon. if I shut it off, then I would need to make sure I turned it back on either at 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning or whenever, right? You have to turn it on at that specific time so that the light properly represents the sun and what it's doing. Very cool. I love the setting. But yeah, it'll start dimming down and hopefully she'll get more relaxed. She's already starting to explore just a little bit, as much as she can explore with her small brain. She doesn't really know what to think. But so far, so good. I will come back this evening and see how she's doing with the dimmer light. And I won't end this video after that. I will wait until next week. Today's Friday, so I'll wait until next week. And all these bubbles will be dispersed and everything. And she'll be more settled into her tank. Maybe I'll do a video of me feeding her for the first time in her new tank next week. And you guys can see how she's doing. It is now the next day. So Squishy's been in her tank for over 24 hours and she's doing great. She seems to be loving it. This is evening time now and you can see the tank is very dim. The lights should be shutting off here in about an hour, I think, so they're pretty dim. All the bubbles have dispersed. But even under this dim lighting, you can see Squishy so much better. I love the higher light. It illuminates all of her markings a lot better, you know? Very cool. I appreciate this tank so much better than the one I had put her in. Like, the way it's scaped, it just looks like she belongs there. Like, it looks like it was actually made for an axolotl. It doesn't just look like a simple holding tank like her other tank looked, which I did design her tank to be a holding tank. So, you know, that's why it looked like that. But she kind of looked out of place in it, you know? It just didn't look like a natural environment. And I don't know about you guys, but I think this tank looks like a natural environment. Now, I know the sand is still like super white and the plants haven't filled in yet. So it will start looking a lot more natural here in about 6 months. But I don't know. It just looks like she belongs here. She's out and about right now. She's out exploring and enjoying herself. She's been swimming around. I've been watching her. But in the afternoon, when the light is the brightest, she has been using this cave more. She'll just go hang out in there for an hour or two, you know, and only come up for air. But in the evening time, she comes out and swims around more. She seems to enjoy it, and I enjoy watching her in it. It is very cool. Today is Saturday. I'll be feeding her on Wednesday, and I think she'll eat well. She seems to be very happy in this tank. So, you know, it's a few seconds for you guys, a few days for me, but you guys will get to see her eating for the first time in her new tank here in a little bit. It is now the next week, and Squishy thinks she's starving. It is Tuesday, and she hasn't eaten since Friday. So I have a big worm for her. It'll be her first meal. Oh, I'm about to lose it. It'll be her first meal in her new tank. I think, yeah, she'll take it well. We'll see if I can keep a hold of it. Squishy. Let's see how long it takes her to come back over here and grab it. Sometimes feeding her can take a while. She doesn't have a whole lot of brain cells. There you go. Are you able to eat it all at once? Stuff it in your face? It's a pretty big worm. She's handling it. We'll see if she's able. She's eaten worms close to this size before. Well, we'll see. She might actually struggle to eat it. Of course, she went to a part of her tank where we can't hardly see her. But yeah, like I said, today is Tuesday. I think we have some plans for the weekend, so I'll probably that's why I fed her today instead of Wednesday. I'll feed her today and probably feed her again on Thursday. And probably tomorrow I will do a big water change on the tank, and then hopefully it's fine for the weekend because I won't be feeding her during the weekend or anything. Or I might wait till Thursday to do the large water change after she eats for the second time this week, and then she will be good for the rest of the week. She's still struggling with that worm. Maybe it's a little too big. I just bought like a case of night crawlers, and you can't really choose what size they are, right? Most of them were pretty big. I think she'll eat it though. She's trying. Oh, she already has it partway in her mouth. Yeah, she'll be able to fit it. She's going to have one fat stomach after this. You're gonna look chubby. Oh, she's almost fitting all of it. There we go. She was able to fit all of that in her mouth. Now her face is all stuffed looking. I love how chubby her face looks after she eats. It just cracks me up. And then she'll swallow it, and then her stomach will be all fat. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video of me setting up a tank for Squishy, my axolotl. I have 3 other tanks to set up, and that will bring me to my 5 tanks that I intend to have for the next, I don't know, few years or so. But yeah, I have 3 more tanks to set up. They will all be smaller than this, but stay tuned for that.